away from home this time for the technique section. We're up on Aston Hill, playing with some great trails, cross country, downhill, and a new pump track. This issue, we're looking at a feature or overcoming a problem to many riders, which is the stall. When the bike decelerates and you accelerate.
Looking at the bike, how it hits sections of the trail and just stops, enabling you to move forward when you want to try and keep your weight back and drive the bike through the bike, keeping the momentum and keeping things moving forward.
Whether it's out on your cross-country ride at the weekend, out playing with the boys, the last thing you want is that push forward on the bike that slows it down, accelerates you faster than the bike, and can lead to a quick trip over the bars or worse. But there are many trail features that can cause the stall, but there's also things that you can do that cause the stall. So we're going to look at eliminating the things that we can, the inputs that we can have to stop the stall occurring, and then also the things we can't change, the features of the trail, how to deal with those so that we don't end up stalling the bike, accelerating faster than it, and having issues.
So when you're racing downhill, one of the biggest issues you can have is if the bike slows down and you get pushed forward. It doesn't cost you a lot of time on the trail if you're riding cross country, but if you're out on the downhill bike, that momentum and losing that speed can really cost you time and energy. And what we're going to look at is how we can carry that through and really keep you moving and keep that speed high.
So if you're a weekend warrior, out having fun with your mates, or a prospective downhill rider looking to get on that podium, this issue is going to help. Getting your body position right and engaging with the bike correctly is a massive factor in avoiding the stall. If you get that set up correctly, you're in a position to deal with any features on the trail that might stall the bike. Too balanced up on top of the bike or too hanging out the back, either the front end's going to get all wishy-washy and get pushed away from you, or worse, if you're over the front end of the bike too much, heavy on the front wheel, the bike's likely to tuck under you, slow down and stall, sends you forwards. So let's look at that core position, and we've got two different rigs here. Obviously I've got my trusty trail bike, while Ian's got a much more downhill focused downhill rig. You'll see that although it looks like we're in different position on the bike, what we're trying to do, both of us as we ride different bikes, and even when we're on an even more cross-country focused bike, is finding the pocket. The pocket is a sweet spot where we want to keep our body mass or centre our body mass and work the bike from that point. Every time we get pushed out of the pocket, it starts to cause this issue. If we fall out the back of the pocket, we're going to have a problem, and if we get more lightly pushed forward out of the pocket, that's going to cause issues too. So let's look at the pocket, and why do we call it a pocket? Well, it's a safe place to be. If you don't want to lose something, you're going to put it in your pocket.
Here I am on my downhill bike coming through the trail, and if we just head back and have a look at the position I'm holding on the bike, we can see that if we add the centre lines through the middle, front to back, and through the straight, top to bottom, you can see that where I'm sat is with my weight just behind that centre line and just below that centre line, and what it's doing is it's pushing the weight through and enabling me to drop my heels and drop my wrist, accelerate my weight underneath the bike and make the bike the accelerating mass. Again, my head's up looking through the trail, I'm breathing out, staying nice and relaxed, and even on a level trail you can see that with the downhill bike I'm sitting back into the pocket and looking through. If we look at Richard here on his trail bike, we can see again as we draw in the centre lines, so we draw in top to bottom, front to back, we can see that his weight is sat back into the pocket. Very much the same position, slightly changing dynamic on the bike, but again what Richard's doing is making sure his heels are dropped, his wrists are dropped, his head's up looking through the section, and again exactly the same, we get that under rotation which drives the mass through the trail. And so we've got the body in the under rotating mass and the bike as the accelerating mass, and you can see that although the two bikes are very different in geometry, the position is still very much the same on the bike vis-a-vis the centre lines and making sure that your weight's back sat into the pocket.
So a fairly typical little bump in the trail here, and typically I think it's quicker to generate a little bit of speed by pumping through this, but in reality if we pump the front wheel through as well, this lump here is actually going to slow the bike to a certain degree and cause a slight stall in the bike. The trick to getting through that section without the stall occurring is to manual the front wheel just up and over the bump so that it doesn't impact at all, the pump doesn't slow us down rather than speeding us up. We're just going to push energy through the bike, raise the front wheel over the bump, land at the other side and just manual the front wheel over. We're not looking at holding a manual from 10 metres before and rolling over on the back wheel all the way through. It's the front wheel we're just trying to manual over, and then we're just going to suck up the back wheel and pump onto the way down the trail, down the back side.
And what you'll find there is that using that technique enables you to carry the speed through this section rather than having to do a massive amount of braking or setup. If you were going to jump this, The challenge you've got is you might land flat there and just lose all of that momentum, whereas using the technique Rich has described, you can carry that momentum over the hump and, as he said, work the backside and really carry that speed out, actually accelerating you down the trail.
So we can see there just a very simple, small manual, getting the front wheel clear, stops the stall, carry more momentum, carries more speed. The temptation to pump and pop the bike up into the air there for fun, yep, that's going to be a bit of fun on the trail, but it does disrupt your flow. A lot of the energy you create is going to lifting yourself and the bike off the ground, and if you land it too heavy, some of that energy dissipates and doesn't turn into forward motion, but just into downward force. We want to just drive through the bike, get the front wheel just light over the top. Again, we don't need to be 3 feet in the air at the balance point, just to clear the lip. Over we go, nice and smooth, on down the trail, carrying plenty of momentum. Fun on a trail bike. On a downhill bike, this bit isn't particularly steep, so you really want to carry all the momentum you can. There are going to be flat sections in a DH race where you're pedaling and then cruising. We want to make sure that those humps and bumps don't negate any of the good work we do by pumping on the gas on the pedals. We don't want to lose that with the trail sapping the energy out of you and the bike.